Well, hello there. This is Vichar Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Welcome to another episode of Quick Wins. And today's game is a really lovely 7-move checkmate submitted by one of my subscribers, Kudo from the Netherlands. Let's go take a look. They've got the black pieces, and their opponent with the white pieces led with the Orangutan opening, which begins with 1b4. Very famously, this was named after an orangutan named Suzanne from the New York Zoo. In 1924, Tartakawa, during a tournament, visited the zoo and was so impressed by Suzanne that he dedicated his next game to her. And he played 1b4 in that game against Marozzi, hence the orangutan opening. A little bit more information, including the game he played against Marozzi, in the link to my blog in the description. Now, against this, very normal, it is e5 with opening up that dark square diagonal with the bishop attacking that pawn. But the idea in the orangutan is to immediately fianchetto that bishop. And this is potentially, a bit of a tricky opening because effectively the bishop pins that e pawn to the g pawn, to the g7 pawn, because if they're allowed to take the g7 pawn, it's also going to take the rook in the corner. Now here, the best move for black is in fact just to take that pawn, because they could take this and then you could sort of attack it some way. However, in this game, my subscriber Kudo plays what seems to be a fairly passive move. Bishop to d6, defending the pawn. However, this sequence of moves that they play basically makes use of the tactics that white assumes they have and does a very tricky counterattack. It's a bit of a glass cannon in that if it doesn't work, it's quite bad, but it's so tricky that every single move that white plays kind of makes sense and they draw themselves into a blunderous position. All right, so here, pinned. So white puts pressure on the pinned piece. f4. Now, it's not a terrible move, it's basically still equal. However, there is a bit of a risk whenever you move your f-pawn early. It weakens this dark square diagonal, the f square diagonal, to the king, so the king side diagonal. And in fact, this is one of the tactics for quick wins that you will find on page 42 in my new book, 50+2 Chess Quick Wins, named after this series. Get your copy on Amazon. Now here, black decides to take. And by taking, again, you can see a tricky move. Basically, they're baiting white to take. Looks like maybe they've lost their rook. So they take, but now black expected this. They actually can't take this. Notice it's still basically equal because black now has a very tricky move in this position. Pawn is advanced. They've got a problem with that dark square diagonal to the king. Queen to h4 with check. You can see white's actually ahead here. It's not so good according to the engine in terms of accuracy for black, but when you look at the Lee Chess Community database in this position, black wins over 70% of the time. And the reason? White now has a serious trouble. It's quite difficult to navigate this position. White's next move is false. They only have one move. It's almost like mate, and that is g3. They have no other move, only a legal move. Black now takes with the pawn, and in this position, can you find white's only good move? Did you find it? The most common natural looking move, which is what white played here, is knight to f3, which is a blunder, mate in 2, because it looks like in this position, if black moves their pawn forward, there is mate. And so clearly you would think knight to f3, attacking the queen. If the pawn moves, it captures the queen, but it doesn't work in this position. In fact, the only good move was bishop to g2, blocking the advance of the pawn, but importantly, also giving the king an escape square. Here, white was probably thinking that black was going to push g2 because it looks like they can get another queen with promotion. But no, they take the h2 pawn. And now, after captures, it's check, only legal move, it's forced. Notice that white has no defenders along that dark square diagonal. Bishop to g3, and it's mate. Good game, GG.